you had mentioned like injecting testosterone before, and obviously that's not that that's everyone's first thing that they'll do, but a lot of people, whether they're kind of mainstream or even in some of like the bioenergetic communities, using some of these androgenic type hormones can be common or popular, and they're in the right context. I think there's a place for them. However, just adding them onto a diet or lifestyle that's not supportive is often going to make things worse in the long run. And a lot of people see that, especially this is more the case in the mainstream where people will use testosterone generally or other androgenic hormones, and then getting off of them will have a ton of symptoms and problems, and they end up in a way worse spot than they started.
Yeah. Or even just having problems when they add them on. And
That too.
the way I like to generally think about anything like that is it's sort of an escalation process. So you change your diet, you change your lifestyle, and you give it a little time, which is important because this doesn't happen like tomorrow.
Mm.
You give it a little time, and then essentially what you'll see is that, okay, you see if your testosterone comes up. And you also, again, something I think that's really important that's become very evident, I guess, to me recently is the idea of treating a lab value. I
Mm.
think that it's important to stay away from treating a lab value as in isolation. You want to look at the lab value, but you also want to look at things in context. If your testosterone is not 1,000 but it's 700, and your libido is great and your motivation is great and everything else is going well, then you may not need to go on these tangents of correcting this and that. Maybe it's not just the testosterone. So again, even with the lab values, there's like that all has to be put into context with what's going on a symptom level, what's going on subjectively. Because I think the empirical and objective values are important and they help track progress, and it's something that's very useful, but that has to be conjoined in with the subjective points of view, the subjective feelings about things, the symptoms that are present. And then the other thing is also with those lab values, looking at and I have a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of guys I know, they'll ask me, oh, what's the testosterone value? Like, oh, my testosterone's this and I should be fine. There's a lot more to the system than just testosterone. You have what's going on with cortisol, what's going on with DHT, what's going on with estrogen, what's going on with sex hormone binding globulin, what's going on with the thyroid. So all of those things become important. And again, that's talking about the bigger picture. So, and the other thing with the labs is that to keep in mind is it's all just a snapshot in time, and it can be adjusted by time of day. It can be
Hmm.
adjusted by what you did yesterday, you're sleeping, what if you ate something that bothered you. All these things can adjust these values on a moment to moment basis. And a lot of the hormones are adjusting continuously to what's going on in the environment. That it's not like you get this one lab value and that's where you are. You can get a sampling of lab values from different periods of time within a single day and get different results. So, and from day to day, you can have different results. Those are important to keep in mind. But as the injecting testosterone or using exogenous hormones, in my experience, the process has to be the escalation. So you would start with diet and lifestyle changes, and then you can move into supplementation, and then after supplementation, then you can start supplementation with minerals, vitamins, etc., correcting deficiencies. Whether you have an iron deficiency, whether you have something going on with your vitamin D, whether you have something B vitamin issues, sleep issues, whatever it is. And then from there, if you're still having an issue, depending on age, context, everything that's going on, then you can talk about adding in a little exogenous hormones and seeing if that will adjust the system in the right direction. And it's usually not just putting testosterone to start. What's going on with thyroid first? Things along those lines. So it
Yeah.
has to be an escalation process. It has to be built up. It has to start with the lifestyle changes, the diet and the sleep, and then move towards the more, I guess, entailing processes or the more corrective or potent processes in the sense of like you have an individual, actually injecting testosterone or using something like progesterone. So you have to get the foundation and then I guess work your way to the pyramid is the way I sort of have seen it.